All right, first up today, super exciting. One of our favorite guests is getting his own show. Dr. Ian Smith is a best-selling author and a trusted medical expert. He's going to be hosting the Emmy award-winning series, The Doctors. The season debuts in a few weeks, so today we thought we'd share some of our best advice with him.
So Molly and I have been brainstorming about this, mistakes to avoid, how to read a teleprompter, which is always getting away from us. What makes us worthy to give him advice? We're really not sure, but we're going to do it anyway. So let's bring it in. We're going to bring in Dr. Ian Smith. Good morning to you.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, guys. Good morning to you.
Good to see you. Okay, so The Doctors, as we know, is usually a panel of many people. This is the 13th season, and you're going to be the doctor. Are they changing the name? They keeping it? What's the deal?
Well, the show's branded The Doctors, so that'll stay because of its great brand. But I am the only doctor. It's the first time they've ever had a solo host. So listen, it happened so fast. I was in my garden, on my knees, weeding my garden, sweaty, dirty, and I get this text message from a number I didn't recognize. It comes to find out, I call the number, it's the EP of The Doctors, and she says, "Hey, I think I have a great opportunity for you. Do you want to be the host of the show next season?" I was like, huh? Yeah, sure. But it's a great opportunity, guys. It's a great show. This is the 13th season. We're going to hit the 2000th episode this season, which is going to be a really great party. And I'm just excited. Listen, I've been on the sidelines, relatively speaking, as far as COVID and being able to lend my voice to the national dialogue. And I've been wanting to really kind of drill down and give people some real, solid, scientifically based information about what's going on, what we can do. I mean, all these things that have been somewhat controversial, I want to cut through all that and go right down the middle.
See, I'm not surprised that they selected you. I mean, to be honest, and I think I can speak for Tiff and me when I say you're absolutely one of our favorites. You've got to be at least top 5 in terms of one of the best guests we've ever had. And it doesn't matter what we're talking about. If it's your shred diet, we're talking about weight loss or exercise or food, ideas you have for snacking, what to do about cravings. We've even talked to you about civil unrest in our country. There's so many things that I think you're well versed on. Your books are fantastic. You've written a novel too, as well as your books about dieting and weight loss and exercise. But I wonder, because you mentioned it and brought it up, and I think it's an excellent thing. I'd love to hear your thoughts about COVID-19, the pandemic. You said you want to cut through some of the misinformation. What do you think about it? How do you practice with your own family, with your wife and kids at home? And what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, for most healthcare professionals and experts, it's been extremely frustrating. And one of our biggest frustrations has been that viruses behave in a certain way that we know. Pandemics work in a way that we know, we study, and politicians and economists and other people, they don't study these things. We went to school for this and studied it. And the idea that the experts, the scientific experts, are not leading the dialogue or the recommendations, and that politics has seeped into it, is extremely disturbing for physicians and medical experts. Listen, we could have gotten through this a long time ago. The country, in my opinion, needed to shut down for 4 to 6 weeks, way back in March or April, when we had seen evidence from other countries how ravaging this disease could be, how easily transmitted it was, and how deadly it was. So we should have locked the country down 4 to 6 weeks. And let me tell you something, we had done that and then come out of it and had practiced safe protocol with PPE and social distancing, we would not be in the bind that we're in now. So now we're in a situation where the economy has tanked. People are afraid to go back to school. There's no uniform voice. Should we do this? Should we not do it? Everyone's doing something different. And that's the danger of a pandemic. You need to work in unison, because even if you're behaving well and your community is doing well, if another community, either 100 miles away or 200 miles away, is not doing it, it becomes an active hotspot and it can affect you. So we're really all in this together. So it's been frustrating, guys, because now everyone's suffering unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's tough to unify in a time that, is not very unified in the world. And so in our country. So I think what you said is power. And I know that's the theme of your season this year is take your power back. You're going to do that, empower all your viewers with no political slant and just all the medical facts. So I think you should be super thrilled to be able to do that. I'm excited to watch you. What are you nervous about in terms of hosting your own show, being the only doctor?
Well, I don't get nervous very often, though getting nervous could be a good kind of emotion to get you, tight on your game. I guess my biggest concern is digital. Everyone's going to be via Zoom, right? So will the Zoom connections work? Will they go down in the middle of the interview? I mean, more technical glitches because we can't have people in studio now, as you guys know. So all my interviews with all the guests are going to be via Zoom. So I'm hoping that the technology can kind of stay up. I mean, the other day we had a tough time because a lot of kids went back to school. So Zoom, as you know, had problems across the world. And we were in studio taping some of our shows and, it affected us tremendously. So I'm just hoping no technical glitches.
Things go wrong. That's number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your tips for me, guys? What are your tips?
Yeah. Okay. So one of our tips, because I say this to school groups when I talk, people hear the word talk show host and they think our best attribute needs to be about talking. But I think the key to doing this job well is listening. You got to be listening first and then talking and thinking about hearing what your guest is saying. What do you think about that advice?
I think that is absolutely tremendous. It's interesting you say that because I told my producers, I want to make sure my questions are very direct and succinct. I don't want to ask, a 5-line question and end up answering the question in my question, right? A lot of people do that. They go on and on. No, you have an expert on, let the expert give you the answer. So yes. And the second part of that is this. It annoys me when I'm watching an interview and the person being interviewed would say something and the reporter or the interviewer will go on to the next topic on their list and not doing a proper follow-up. So that is great advice.
Good for you.
It is. Yeah, because that means they're not listening, right? They're thinking about the next thing that they're going to say. And people do that naturally in conversation. And I think that's the thing, your job as a host, right, is to help entertain. It's to help inform. It's to get that person's message out of them and across from them. And the only way to do that is by listening what they're saying. So I think that's perfect. And the tough part is you can't calm guests over Zoom. I think that's one thing that Molly and I constantly were good at was when people sit down, they're not always used to being in front of a camera. And so distraction always helped when you're in person, but over Zoom, you don't get that opportunity. So I would give your producer the advice and maybe talk to our producer about how to calm people down. I'm sure they've done that before, but it's a whole new responsibility for a producer prior to talking to you.
Yeah, well, two things. One is I love doing your show because when I do your show, it feels like a conversation. It actually doesn't feel like an interview. So we're just having a conversation. And I think the viewers at home can feel the rapport. They can feel that, wow, they're just dropping in on two friends just having a nice conversation. That's number one. Number two, what I've asked is that before my guests come on the show, this is rare. Most people don't do this. I want them to open my mic so I can talk to the guests and have a quick little conversation before they come on. So it kind of breaks the ice.
Tiff and I are both nodding our heads with that because that is absolutely key. You nailed it on the head. By identifying it as a conversation rather than an interview is huge. So if people have that sense, you got half the battle won. And then also a quick conversation, making people feel at ease, seeing that you're a person just like everybody else is going to do wonders. I think you're going to be a huge hit. I'm excited to see the show. Good for you. Don't forget us, the little people. If you need anything, give us a shout.
You guys, I'll come on your show as much as you want. As much as you want, I'm on your show. And listen, people who have ideas or medical experts they want on the show, please send me a direct message on Instagram at Dr. Ian Smith. Spell the doctor out, I-A-N Smith. I answer my own DM, so send me a DM, follow me, and I'll try to get your topics or your medical experts on the show.
Look at you. I'm so proud of you. That's fantastic. All right, best of luck to you, Ian.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Yep, love you too. We'll talk to you soon. All right, the 13th season of The Doctors with just one doctor, Dr. Ian Smith as the host, kicks off Friday, September 21st. We're super excited for him. That was a fantastic conversation, wasn't it, Tiff?
Always, always. You can never go wrong with him. I mean, he's very present.
I agree. It was fantastic.